why my Dominican husband left me after only 2 weeks of living in the US. And let me start off by saying I'm never gonna apologize for being a good person, having a good heart, and believing in love. Because one thing I'm never gonna do is live in the what if, because I feel like es un desperdicio de vida. And if that makes me ingenua, then so be it. So my soon-to-be ex-husband and I, who we'll call Moon, we've been together for 4 years, married 3. I lived in the Dominican Republic with him during COVID, but we decided that it was better for me to come back and live in the United States so that we could qualify for the visa. So in 2022, I moved back and we started applying for the visa in August. I was going back and forth doing long distance porque yo estaba aguerrida de mi palo dominicano, mi amor, and no one can get me out of there. Fast forward to this year, in May we heard back and got our appointment for May 2024, and we did the whole thing. He got approved, and then he ended coming back with me in June to the United States. So since the beginning of the relationship, he had always struggled with holding down a job and being financially responsible. And so I took it upon myself to teach him the things that I know so that he could get better, so that when he came to the States, he would just be able to manage his money mejor. So over the past year, he was able to secure a really good job, and now he's balling and has all this money, and he's just like, I don't know what to do with it. Me being the person that I am, I'm like, ponte a ahorrar, like go to classes for English so that when you come to the United States, like, you know, the visa is coming through soon, you're prepared and ready to go. But of course, now he has in his mind that he wants to do something else with his money y que él va a comenzar a construir su casa. So that's what he's gonna do. Dominican Republic, when you lay the roof of your house, usually your family members move on top of it. So that's what she did. She gave him a piece of her property so that he can start constructing there. But there was no need for him to start doing that just yet. So el hombre se puso a construir, which is great because now you have a place of your own. But now money is tight and you're asked out, and somehow, some way, now I'm the bad guy because I don't want to offer up my funds to help you do something that I told you that it wasn't the time for you to do. Of course, I feel guilty and I deposit him money to finish building the house. So I fly back to the yard to be with him and prepare for the visa interview. So before the visa interview, everything's going really well. After the visa interview is when shit starts going to hell. And it wasn't just the fact that I was realizing that I was going to be the sole provider, because I was ready to do that. We had already discussed it. But it was me realizing that you literally had done absolutely nothing to prepare yourself to move to the United States, even though we've been in this process over the last almost 2 years. It was his baby mamas texting him, asking him, oh my God, I can't believe you're leaving. So where does this leave us? What are we? What do you feel for me? Excuse me? It was the finding him trying to initiate conversation of his ex of almost 6 years. Why are you reaching out to her? It was simply the lack of consideration and me realizing that you're actively trying to make me the villain in this story. So now we're beefing and I'm telling him, bro, like if you don't want to come to the United States right now, you don't have to. Let's work this stuff out and come in together in a healthier space. He refuses and he's like, we can push past this. Let's just go and live the life that we've always wanted to together. So we come to the States, and when I tell you things were rocky from the jump, tíreme de un barranco. And of course, we were going to have the basic relationship fights, like put the toilet seat down, pick up after this, because now we're living with each other 24/7. Pero lo que no se justifica is, why is la sierva texting you at 6 in the morning telling you about her personal problem? Why are you asking fulana de tal if she's eaten and recommending her to rent out the house? What house? And yes, moving to a whole different country is so hard, but I'm bending over backwards to make sure that you're having a good time or trying to help you acclimate in the best that I possibly can. From the moment that he set foot in the States, we tried really hard to help him find a job. But because his Social Security hadn't come in yet, he obviously couldn't start working, and we didn't want him to start working illegally just in case that brought any sort of problems. I will say though, one of the reasons why I fell in love with this man is because he knows how to work. He was never the one to be lounging around. He always was trying to hustle, work, provide for both of us when I was living there and I didn't have a job. And even after both of us were settled in, like, he was always really good and never asking me for anything, even though I would be the one to offer. Which is why I was so understanding when I could see that he was restless being here and not having anything to do. Lo que yo no entiendo, however, is that your restlessness is coming because you know you have bills to pay in the Dominican Republic and kids to maintain, but you did absolutely nothing para ahorrar tu dinero cuando tú podías. So unfortunately, the bickering and fighting continued, and one of the first things that he said in our real fight was, "Is this why you brought me here? Like, get me my flight so I can go back." To which I responded, "What you're not going to do is sit here and try to make this like I was the one who brought you here when this was actively your decision. Because what you're not trying to do is make this a me problem cuando tú era the one who needed to save his money." But anyways, para cortarle story time, by the second week, he was already telling me that he was ready to go home. And I begged, y yo le lloré, y le pedí to please stay, let's work this out. Wait, the papers are going to come, you're going to be able to start working. It doesn't make sense for you to go back and start working there when the money that you could be earning there, you can earn it here in your first check. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough, and he just made his decision that he was going to leave, and he did. I had told him that if he decided to leave, that our relationship was done, because I was not going to be with someone who's going to come and only be here for 2 weeks and decide that they can't handle the pressure and just bounce. When I moved to the Dominican Republic and I lived there for 10 months looking for a job without finding one, just struggling just because I wanted to be with this man, because I wanted to give our relationship a shot. So you're going to tell me that I can go ahead and do that, and I can fly back and forth for 4 years, spending my money, my time, and my resources, and you can't come here and sit there with me and struggle past 2 weeks? No. So ultimately, we were going back and forth, but essentially I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And when he saw that I was really serious this time about ending the relationship for the first time, and I don't know how many times I broke up with him, he started feeling the heat. And so one Sunday night, he surprised me by flying back to the States, unbeknownst to me, knocking on my door without knowing my address. "How did you get here, sir?" And asking me to give him another shot. But by then it was too late. I did not recognize him. I looked at him and I didn't feel anything for him anymore, which it's hard to say, but just like the love wasn't there the way that it was before. So the next day I just told him he had to pick up his crap and go, because I just couldn't do this anymore. And that's what he did. The first thing that he packed was his visa, and he left to St. Croix to work. And then a week later, he went back to the Dominican Republic. So I filed for divorce about 2.5 weeks later, and last Friday he signed the divorce papers. So this is all actively still happening, and it's still very fresh. And I know there are a lot of people on here who say, "Oh my God, girl, like nunca, I would never." But you don't really know what you're gonna do in a situation unless you're in it. And honestly, I love this man with my whole heart for 4 years, and I still do, because eso no se apaga de un día para otro. But I just came to the realization that this just was not serving me, and that it wasn't what I needed for me in my life. And I think that's okay.
Y'all remember when I told you that my mom sent me back to Africa and told me it was business, but it was an arranged marriage? No? Sit down, let me tell you about it. Now that we're all okay with me just trauma dumping on TikTok, let's talk about the time when I was 22 years old. My mother had gone to Africa, and I swear to God, she spent like 6 months there. Her husband was peeved, okay? So she had to come home, and she had to come home quick because her man wasn't having it, and he was financing the whole thing. So she comes home, and she's like, "Hey, I didn't get everything I need to get done, right?" And by that, she means she has properties, lots of them, back home. And I'm over 18. She and I do not share a last name. So she was able to essentially leave property. These are her words, right? My younger siblings that share a last name that are minors, she was able to leave them property. But me, who is old, and doesn't share a last name with her, I need to go and personally sign for the property myself because I'm an adult. Do I know how business is run in the Ivory Coast? Absolutely the hell not. I am young and lit, young and turn and lit, whatever you want to call it at this age, okay? So I'm telling her, like, okay, cool, I'll go. She's like, cool, I'll buy your ticket. You know how things are in the Ivory Coast. They could give you this time frame. It could be shorter, it could be longer. So I'll buy your return ticket when it kind of looks like things are wrapping up. Okay, cool, I'll go. I get there. There is a woman I've never seen before and a man I've never seen before waiting for me at the bottom of the stairs. How do I know that they're waiting for me at the bottom of the stairs? This woman looks identical to my mother, right? So I'm assuming she's an aunt or a cousin of mine. She looks identical to my mother. So I beehive it over to her. Come to find out, this woman is my sister. Years and years and years down the road, I find out this woman is my sister. This woman is my mother's first child, okay? Not the point. I've already talked about that. So anyways, the man next to her, I think it's just the driver, okay? He shakes out his hand. He's tall, a short, wiry frame. He smiles. He's got this tooth, and then he's got some of these. And then he's got like a couple of these, but that's it, right? We're not working with a lot. And they're really yellow. They're giving margarine, okay? They're giving Pantone butter yellow, okay? And so I've peeped. I'm like, this is our driver. We get to where we're going, and he gets out of the car and upstairs with us. I was like, oh, maybe because he's bringing our bags. My sister, who at the time I thought was my aunt, so when I tell this story, I will say my aunt sometimes because at the time it was happening, I thought she was just an aunt of mine. My sister called my mom to be like, hey, we have her, right? And now come to think of it, she always used to say, hey, mom, Benita's here. But I thought she called her mom like as a sign of respect because my mother finances her whole family back home. So I just assumed like she's like a mother to everybody, right? So anyways, I should have picked up on that. Anyways, she's like, Benita's here. We got her. She's, she's safe, secure, whatever. While my sister's on the phone with my mother outside on the balcony, this man comes inside. He's like, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everything. I can't thank you enough. And I'm like, okay. I guess. So I'm chilling, right? It's hot. I'm trying to figure out how to start the AC. Okay. Was I born there? Yes. Am I a product of there? Yeah, I messed up. Anyways, trying to figure out how to start the AC. My sister comes back in, he leaves. The next day, he takes us shopping. I'm chilling, okay? I thought I was here for business, but okay. The day after that, we go to the market. One thing about me, when I go home, I'm in the market, okay? I am in the outdoor market. I am in the fabric section, and I am in a tailor's house. I'm getting my measurements taken, I'm buying fabric, and I'm getting my hair done. So I'm looking for hair braiders too. So he takes me to some hair braiders, right? And I knew when I was going on this trip, I was like, okay, braiding hair is like $5 there. A 20, and I could literally get whatever I wanted. So I wanted these, and I took my credit card with me. I wanted these itty bitty little braids. Y'all have seen them. Like I wanted braids so tiny that I could comb them. That was also a mistake. We won't go over that right now. It's not important. But I did get those braids. Those braids took like 2.5 days. It took 3 people 2.5 days to braid my whole head. The last day they finished braiding my whole head, right? People come in the room, they start styling the braids. Now, mind you, the braids are so light they don't hurt. So they, and I had them down my back too. I had them down my butt. Okay, I had those braids. They didn't cut the hair. I had those braids all the way down my butt. So they get to, braiding, like putting the hair in one long Rapunzel braid, and like they bring clothes, beautiful dresses, right? And I'm like, okay, what's this? And my sister is like, it's the wedding. So I'm thinking we're going to a wedding. I did not think it was. We were going to a wedding. I didn't realize it was my wedding. And I'll tell you when I realized. I get dressed to the nines. I'm feeling myself, right? I look good. I smell good. I've got this hair. I'm young and turned, okay? I get dressed to the nines in these clothes that they give me. The man comes upstairs to be like, are y'all ready? I notice he's matching me. Why are we matching exactly, sir? What's going on? He was like, oh, well, I have family coming in town. This is the family fabric. When you do get married and when they do funerals in my culture back home, your family wears like a color or a fabric that denotes that they are, your family, blood family, right? Someone's dead, same thing. I no longer have my grandfather's funeral clothes or my grandmother's funeral clothes, but I do have clothes that were sewn for funerals that denote that I am blood family. I got rid of those for other reasons. But anyways, why are we matching, sir? No big deal. I walk downstairs, the back of the car that he has been renting the whole time I'm there, this old ass BMW, y'all, says just married. Huh. I start passing out. I start hyperventilating. I start bawling. Okay. We drive to a courthouse. Oh my God. There are so many people at this courthouse. What the heck? They're all here to witness this wedding. I won't, like, I'm dying. Okay. My sister finally convinces me to get out of the car. She's like, we cannot keep this car running. We cannot keep this car running. Whole time, anytime he gets next to me, he like slithers his hands around me. He's trying to make it look like a thing. Right. I'm like, oh my God, sir, I don't know you. Get off of me. So my sister's on the phone with my mom. My sister's like, hey, Benita, your mom wants to talk to you. Come out here and talk to her. I get out of the car. I take the phone. I'm bawling. She's like, Benita, what is wrong with you? I'm like, Mom, like, you didn't tell me this was a wedding. What the heck? She was like, I knew not to tell you. She had been talking to my other siblings, for the 2 kids that she had in her marriage that she loved so much. My younger sister was in on it. And my younger sister had told her not to tell me, because, and this is from her mouth. My sister's never confirmed this. This is what my mother said. She told her not to tell me because I would never go through with it if I knew. I would never accept the offer if I knew that that's what she was plotting. And she was like, you owe me. You owe me. Your dad has done nothing for me. I've been the only one taking care of you your whole life. You owe me. If you want to come home, you owe me. I am not buying your return ticket until this is done. Hangs up. Click. What? So guess what the hell I did? I sobbed to that judge's chambers, boo. I sobbed through that marriage, boo. I signed what I needed to sign. And then he took us to the seaside because the city I am from is right on the coast. He takes us to the seaside to take newlywed photos. And he is kissing me on the lips with his 4 teeth that I told y'all he's got, the yellow ones. He's kissing me on the lips for everyone to see, and I am crying. These pictures exist. So I have to unblock him to get the pictures, but these pictures are real. They do exist. I'm bawling, and he is smiling, cheesing everywhere. And there's more to his lore, too, if you have any more questions. But anyways, come to find out, my mother had been messaging him back and forth, text messages, emails, pretending it was me. She created a fake email pretending it was me. She created a fake WhatsApp pretending she was me. And he was in on it. And for years and years and years, this man was her building manager back home. He was helping develop all this property that she sent me to go sign for, right? And so she had gotten so big, she couldn't afford to pay for the work she was doing. So I was the payment. I was the currency. I was the nothing that could be traded for material goods, okay? So yeah, she traded me. Essentially, he would marry me and he would get citizenship, and then him and all his family could come here and be American citizens. And do you know what's so funny? This man was at home adopting people left and right. He was adopting people left and right, other people's kids, because he told everybody. He was, I was the sucker who got sucked into that. Before you guys ask, I'm divorced. I am no longer with that man. He ended up stealing all her money. She had a stroke because of it. It was a huge, big thing. My stepdad didn't know. She also didn't tell her husband about this. I ended up outing that secret later, years later. And you know what she did in response to me outing that secret? She physically attacked me. Anyways, love you, mean it. I hope this tied you over. See you tomorrow.
Let's swap mean girl nursing stories. Okay, I'll go first. In my 3rd semester of nursing school, I went to pass a blood pressure medication with my professor. Said patient was on dialysis. Dialysis nurse says, hey, I just took this patient's blood pressure 5 minutes ago. I look at my professor and I say, even though it was just taken, I'm going to do a double check for myself. Blood pressure comes back at 90 systolic. I'm a 3rd semester nursing student. At this point, my butthole's already puckered, okay? I got a straight face, but inside I'm all, what do I do? So I look at my professor and she's just staring at me like this. Okay, it's on me. That's what you're saying. I need to do something. Cool. So I hold the blood pressure medication. I put the patient in Transdellenberg, notify MD. MD orders a liter of fluid. I give that fluid, reassess. Patient's blood pressure is 100 systolic. I just saved this patient's life. Okay, I'm hyped up on adrenaline, bro. Like I'm tripping. I'm doing a great job. You know, on the outside, I'm like this. So we walk out and I'm feeling myself, dude. And she goes, so how do you feel that went? And I'm like, I think I did pretty well. I think I did all the things. I reassessed. I notified MD. I documented all the things that needed to be documented. And she goes, actually, we're going to be sending you back to lab because you thought, those were the words that she used, you thought about not checking the blood pressure and giving that blood pressure medication. And so I very respectfully go, oh, no, I'm sorry, I did not think about not doing that. I actually did all those things that I was supposed to do. And as I'm saying this, she puts her hand in my face and yells. She goes, that's not the point, Alana. The point is, what type of nurse do you want to be? There's actually a witness of this happening, right? And so at this point, I'm starting to trip, bro. Like, in my head, I'm like, we can go rounds, dude. You have no idea. You don't understand. I got mommy and daddy issues, dude. But my left titty's like, no, stop. You know what she's trying to do right now. She wants you to get hyphy. She wants you to get disrespectful. She wants you to react so that she can then fail you completely from clinical, which will make you repeat a semester. Don't do it. So I don't. I sit there just straight face as she's yelling at me. Don't do anything, okay? I do my time in lab, okay? I document everything that's happened. And she realizes, oh, I'm not going to get to her that way. So then she goes on to publicly humiliate me in front of my entire nursing class, okay? So we're on break in the class. She's in the room, and we're talking about what specialties we want to go to. Mind you, this has literally nothing to do with her. And I pipe up, I'm like, oh, I want to be an emergency room nurse. I live and breathe emergency. Like, that's what I want to do, okay? She laughs out loud to the point where everyone stops what they're doing and looks at her. You could hear a pen drop in that room. She looks at me and goes, you do not have what it takes to be an emergency room nurse. Stick to med-surg. So I would later go on to report her to the dean. I had substantial documentation and witnesses on the way she was treating me and other nursing students. And I told the dean, you know, she once said, it's what type of nurse you want to be. And my response to that is, I want to be this type of nurse. I want to be the nurse that not only stands up for her patients, but for herself, okay? I refuse to be belittled or bullied into something that is not right. Yeah, isn't it funny how things just come full circle? Are you watching this, girl? I would love if you were watching this right now. I have a feeling you watch all my videos because I know other professors from there do. So I hope you're doing well. I hope life is just treating you just so good. Yeah. As always, happy nursing.
So I gave birth. Sorry, what the hell was that? Usually when people are like, want to hear my birth story, I think, fuck no. And now that I've given birth, I realize that was the most effed up thing that's ever happened to me. I guess it's a story in my life now. Too many people are casually giving birth. For some people, I guess it is casual. Obviously, not for me. Everything that happens to me has to be fucking drama. Not the happiest day of my life. Horrifying, I might add. This story's not to scare you because I don't think this happens to everybody, but of course it would happen. So I go to my OB appointment, okay? Birth story, trigger warning, birth story, 36 weeks. I walk in, she goes, you look puffy. Let's take your blood pressure. Blood pressure's high. I'm swollen. She goes, I think you have preeclampsia. I'm like, ugh, don't only like 2% of people get that? Like, why? Blood work, pee work, swab up the ass for a separate thing. She calls me that night. She's like, yeah, you have protein in your urine. Go to triage tomorrow. See what they say. Get my ass to triage. They do all this work. They go, yeah, you're not going home till this baby's born. Okay, when's the baby going to be born? And they're like, well, we want to hold you here for 4 days so that we can monitor you, but we don't want to induce you yet because you're not 37 weeks till Sunday. So let's wait till Sunday to induce. Fuck am I going to do here for 4 days? They bring me to a shared room. God damn it. So too, my OB was like, go first thing in the morning. So I'm there top of the fucking morning. If I knew I was going to get admitted, I would have gone maybe in the afternoon so I could have killed half my day in my own house. But anyway, now I'm in this shared room staring at the walls. Joe goes into work because he's like, okay, I guess I should wrap everything up. Didn't know this baby was coming so early. 300 times if I can leave. They're like, no, blood pressure's off the charts and you're waterlogged. waterlogged. I'm like, oh, I signed myself out. I walk over to the mall. I got a face mask. I buy myself a book. I don't read. Back to the hospital. They're like, okay, we have a private room for you. I'm like, hallelujah. Me into the private room, and now I'm thriving. Joe comes to visit. I'm like, get the hell out of here. Got face masks to do. I'm going to start a book. Sleep like a princess while these nurses come in and just make sure my blood pressure is okay. Keep poking me, like doing blood work, whatever. I just have to lie. Next day, it's Friday. I'm like, oh my God, 3 more days of this retreat. I love it. Just kidding. The monitor up. They monitor the baby. All of a sudden, the baby's heart rate is going whack. A doctor comes in, goes, by the way, we're inducing you tonight. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not scared because I'm thinking, I've heard all about that. They're gonna put me on an IV drip, and before I even start contracting, I'm gonna ask for epidural. I'm not gonna feel shit. This is gonna be lit. Uh-oh, I was so incredibly wrong. It's unbelievable. The experience couldn't have been more traumatic, but moved to labor and delivery. Another suite. I'm at the Shangri-La. This was at Mount Sinai Hospital, and I have to make a whole different video about Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto because it's incredible. Like, it is literally incredible. I can't talk about it right now or I'll start to cry. The nurses and everybody there, it's fucking amazing. Anyway, I get to the room. I'm like, okay, let's get this party started. They're like, no, we got to wait for the doctor to get here because she needs to blow up a balloon in your vagina. And I was like, what about this IV drip? They're like, no, that shit only works if your water's broken and yours is not. And also you're not even dilated. I see. I don't love this whole balloon thing, but okay. Meanwhile, the nurse in labor and delivery, there was one nurse that actually kind of pissed me off. And it was this nurse. She goes, I don't know why they're inducing you. Weird, like the baby's heart rate isn't that erratic, like, and your levels aren't that crazy. I would wait 4 days. I'm like, okay, don't put me in a position where I need to now like think like a doctor. Like, I'm not a doctor and I actually have no clue what either of you are talking about, but a doctor just sent me here. Don't make me now think like I need to like do research and figure out if I should be induced right now. Like, thankfully the doctor comes in and she's like, oh no, you're getting induced. Takes this balloon out, opens my vagina with a crank, puts the balloon in, blows it up with water, tapes the string to my leg, hooks me up to the IV, puts me on oxytocin and goes, okay, you're going to start contracting and this balloon's going to fall out. I'm like, cool. When can I get epidural? And she's like, you can get it whenever you want, but it's best to get it like after the balloon falls out. And I'm like, okay. I immediately start getting contractions. This balloon is the bane of my existence. Every 10 minutes, the nurse, who's by the way 25, I'm 33, the way I was depending on these 25-year-olds like they were my mother. 10 minutes, she has to get on her knees and pull the string of the balloon to see if it comes out. Pain of that was insane. Like, she's like, deep breath, and then she's trying to pull this 3-centimeter thing out of my 1-centimeter vagina. So tight. Eventually she yanks it and it comes out onto the ground. I was like, ooh, disgusting. Then the doctor comes in with an ever so literal like sewing needle, knitting needle. He goes, all right, I'm here to break your water. Basically felt like getting fisted, which is also kind of how the balloon felt. It felt like I was getting fisted a lot. Which is something I was never into, but now I know for sure I'm not. If she breaks my water, I'm like, go get the fucking epidural guy. And she's like, got it. Epidural man rolls in with his big ass needle. I am panicking. But guess what, guys? The epidural was chill as hell. Everybody was like, oh no, epidural is spooky. No. It was nothing. He's like, here's the worst part. It feels like a little bee sting. He puts a little thing in your back that feels literally like the smallest bee sting ever. And they had me on an anti-nausea medication. They had me on fucking whatever the hell they had me on. I was vibing. So now I'm happy. Great. The worst is over. That balloon fell out of my puss, broke my water. And now I have my epidural. Now all that's left to come is the baby. Guess what? After they broke my water, 2 bacterial infections crawled up my vagina and poisoned both me and the baby. And what happened next was so incredibly fucked up that like I borderline don't know if I can recount it, but I will. Part 2.
When I was 13, I went to one of the scariest troubled youth camps, and here is how I got out. I was actually only at this camp for a total of 5 months, but it felt like an eternity. And I really thought that I was going to be there potentially for 5 years, because they would always tell me that they could keep me until I was 18 if they wanted. They convinced us that our parents signed over custody to them, and that even if our parents wanted us back, that they could keep us if they felt like we weren't reformed enough. So I really gave up hope and had mentally prepared myself to just live here kind of forever. The first month that you're there, they don't let you call your parents. And even then, it's something that you have to earn with good behavior. So by the time you actually talk to your parents, you're like in this shit. And they would always monitor your phone calls. They would sit right there and listen to you talk. I never tried to tell my mom how bad it was. I didn't even try to like give any secret messages or anything like that. Some kids' parents would take them home for the holidays, but mine didn't because I lived across the country and I guess my mom thought it was just like too hectic and too much money. So I stayed at this place through my grandpa's death and funeral, through my 14th birthday, and through Christmas and New Year's and all of it. One day I get to talk to my mom on the phone, and Miss Haley is the one that's listening to my conversation. This is the first time that I really got into a conversation with my mom. Nothing serious, but just talking about what might happen if I get out of this place. Again, I really had no hope, but it was just a good conversation. During this call, my mom was saying that she wanted to homeschool me when I got out. See, throughout my life, my mom had like homeschool neglected me, But I always had the option to go to school, and sometimes I did, but other times I would ask to be taken out of school, or I would just have a bunch of absences because I had severe anxiety, and my mom would just like let me do that. And when I say homeschool, like I wasn't doing any schooling at all. Like not a textbook, not a computer program, nothing. But sometimes when I was in school, my mom would threaten to take me out of school and homeschool me as like a punishment if I was either like acting out, or one time it was because I was like crying over my math homework, and she said that this was just too much for me, and if I kept getting this stressed out over it, then she was gonna have to take me out again. But luckily she had never really done that, and every time that I did come out of school, it was my own choice, even though I was a kid and shouldn't have had that choice, but whatever. So anyway, I'm on this phone call with my mom, and she's saying that she thinks I should probably be homeschooled when I come home. And I'm like, I'd really like to go to school and like have friends again and everything, but just to be agreeable and everything, I'm like, well, you know what, maybe I could be homeschooled for a few months just to get caught up. And I'm so into this conversation and just talking to my mom that I forget like where I am, and I essentially forget to censor myself. So I'm like, yeah, maybe I could be homeschooled for a few months just to get caught up, because the schooling I'm doing here, I'm doing like elementary school, and I'm supposed to be in 8th grade, going into 9th grade. So yeah, maybe I could just catch up and then go to school after I get caught up to my grade level. Well, Miss Alicia doesn't like that I just told my mom that I'm not really doing any schooling here. Because yeah, I was literally doing 3rd grade English, 1st grade math, all that. So she grabs the phone from me, puts it to her chest, and she's like, tell your mom that's not true. Tell your mom that the schooling here is great. And I was frozen because I was like, oh, I just got myself in like major trouble. And I couldn't even think fast enough to react or be like, okay, sure, yeah, mom, it's good, the schooling's good. So Miss Alicia then gets on the phone, and she's like, yeah, no, that's not true, they do really good schooling here, we have a good program, blah, blah, blah. And then she ends the phone call. I don't talk to my mom again after that. After that phone call, my main concern is like, oh, am I gonna get in like huge trouble and be punished and smashed? And luckily that didn't happen, so I kind of moved on with my life. Well, maybe a couple of weeks later, I get another phone call with my mom, and she's like, guess what? I'm bringing you home. And I was like, no way. Like, I didn't even want to get my hopes up, especially because I was so convinced that this camp had some kind of legal say over my mom, whether I got to go home or not. So I was just like shocked. So after the phone call, I go talk to the instructors, and I'm like, is it true? Am I going home? They're like, oh, she told you that? Yeah, we were going to surprise you, but yeah, you're going to go home in a couple weeks. I am like in disbelief. The next day, I'm doing my chores, which at that time was sweeping and mopping the floors of the girls' barracks. This is a chore that I did every day. Well, on this particular day, Miss Sonia comes over, and she finds like some specks on the floor, and she says, oh, you didn't sweep properly, and now you're mopping over it. She's like, oh, you're getting sloppy and lazy because you know that you're going home. Well, maybe you're not ready to go home. And I'm baffled. Like, I'm being like gaslit because I'm like, well, I didn't think I was getting lazy. Like, I literally was trying just as hard as any other day. Like, I'm still just as scared of you guys as any other day. Later that day, Pastor comes up to me and he's like, hey, I heard that you're getting lazy and you're not listening to instructions, and I think I might call your mom and tell her that you're not ready to go home, but I'm going to think about it. So I'm distraught. I'm living in limbo. I obviously don't have access to call to my mom. That's not even like in my head as an option. And I'm just waiting every single day. I'm waiting for Pastor to talk to me again and tell me what his decision is. Am I going home or not? So every day I'm telling Miss Haley, because she's the only one that I can really confide in. I'm like, can you please talk to Pastor? Can you please talk to him? Either tell him that I'm doing good or just ask him if I'm going home or not. Because like the anxiety was eating me away. Like every moment was just like, am I going home or not? It's like I'm a hungry dog and they're hanging a juicy steak over my head. And it literally gets to be like 3 days before my flight. I still don't know if I'm going home or not. Finally, like the 100th time that I asked Miss Haley, she's like, yeah, I think you're going home. The way that she said it, it all clicked in that moment. Pastor was never actually considering keeping me. He just wanted me to be like living in fear. And Miss Haley knew that the whole time, but didn't want to tell me because she wasn't supposed to. So the day of my flight comes. I don't know what time the flight is. All they said is that in the morning they were going to take me to the airport. So I have all my stuff packed. I've said my goodbyes. I'm ready to go. I'm like, when are we leaving? They're like, oh, later. So I end up going to school with the other kids. And I'm like, I'm not even supposed to be here right now. Like, I'm supposed to be gone. I keep looking at the clock and I keep asking every time I have a chance to ask an instructor. I'm like, when am I going yet? What time? Can you just tell me a time? And they're like, we'll let you know. Finally, it's like almost noon. And I'm like, they told me they were going to take me in the morning. I thought it was going to be like early morning. And finally, Miss Alicia and Pastor are like, okay, come on, let's go. It's time to go to the airport. So I'm like, okay. And I grab all my stuff. And now like we're in a rush. So we drive there. We get in the airport and my flight is about to happen and we are running through the airport. And just before the terminal like closes their doors, I get there and I get on that plane. So I fly back home from this camp in Mobile, Alabama, all the way to my home city where I was born and raised, Las Vegas, Nevada. And as I'm entering the city on the plane, and I see like the desert, the whole like strip and the city from above, I get this weird feeling like, wow, I thought that I would never come back. I thought I would like never see this place again, even though rationally I knew that I would at some point, even if it was years from now, but it was just surreal. I don't know how to explain it. It felt like I was dead and like coming back to life. So I get there, my mom meets up with me, and she had surprised me by bringing my best friend to come see me. But at this point, I felt like such a changed person that it felt weird to even like still have this friend in my life. Like the version of me that was friends with her and knew her and went to school with her was like an alternate dimension version of myself. And that's kind of how the whole thing felt, just being in Vegas and seeing my mom and everything. It felt like that version of me like didn't exist anymore. But when I tried to explain this to my mom, she didn't understand. And she was like, oh, don't be dramatic, sort of thing. But as I talked to her, she revealed a couple of things to me. One was why she brought me home in the first place. And that was because that phone call of ours that was interrupted by Miss Alicia, she realized then that there was something weird going on. She said that she could tell that I had lost my spark and like my personality, and that I just sounded very depressed and robotic. She also said that the day of my flight and a few days before even, that she kept calling the camp and trying to get confirmation that they would take me to the airport, and they weren't getting back to her for the longest time. And on the day of the flight, she kept calling to ask if they were taking me yet, because obviously you're supposed to get to the airport like 2 hours before your flight. Yeah, I got there like 5 minutes before my flight. But they either weren't getting back to her or they were just being super vague with her, like they were with me. I really did almost miss my flight, and it would have costed my mom all that extra money to buy me a new flight. It's like they were trying to sabotage my return home or something. Or maybe they were seeing if my mom really cared about me going home or not, so that they could keep me for longer if she like didn't really mean it. In the next part, we can finally talk about how we got this hellhole shut down and 3 of the main people in charge sent to prison.